Hello, Warriors. This is Michael Hummel. I am the founder of Wheels and Warriors. Welcome to another episode of Empowering Discussions with a Disabled Man. Today, I'm going to be joined by Jessica Coulthard. She's going to come in and we're going to have a discussion. And she's coming in right now. Give me 1 second. She's. Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
I like it because we're going to ask each other questions, right? Usually I'm the one who just asks the questions doing my podcast, right? So it's like, oh, you're gonna make me work too. I like it.
So tell the audience a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Oh, yeah, sure. So my name is Jessica Coulthard, also known as the Bring the Joy Girl. Michael and I met through Movement Makers, which is amazing. Such an incredible community. But so me personally, I am a coach. I'm an NLP practitioner, and I am a podcast host. And I'm about to launch a second podcast. Actually, I've decided that as much as I love interviewing all y'all, that I want to focus a little bit more on some of the stuff that I'm doing in my message. So I've decided to start a new podcast that I think I'm going to call Awakening Your Joy. So yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Mhm.
I've wanted to start a podcast. I just haven't started.
You should not say those words to me, my friend, because I'm going to push now.
Good, good.
All
I
right.
need
This
get
is
on.
recorded, right? Like I've heard it. You've agreed. We're on now.
I agree. I'm gonna post it on my page. It's all good.
All right. All right. All right. It's on. No backing down now.
So what do you want to know about disability?
Yeah, so and you know what? I love that you're doing this because, these can be awkward conversations, right? Is because, when somebody's different than you are, you never know that what to or not say that you could or could not offend. So
Yeah.
I love that you're opening this up to find out what people want to know, right? So before I ask any real pointed questions, I'd love to know from you, like what was your like I love what you're doing, but I'd love to hear from you why you chose to do this.
Um, I wanted to. Well, Wilson Warriors started in 2017, and in 2020, my wife said you should make it bigger and broader because you're getting more attention. And I just started it because I wanted to do basically I wanted to use it as an accountability tool. I would take pictures, do videos, and for myself to keep myself going. But I got to the point where I wanted to help people. I wanted to do more. I wanted to open the lines of communication and bring disabled people and able-bodied people together. And that's part of why I wanted to make this show, is because I wanted to open the lines of communication, make it easier for people to ask questions, to answer questions, and I wanted to make it so we ask questions and we may be uncomfortable now, but in the future we won't be.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. So you said at the beginning it was really just about you creating accountability for yourself. That was what Wheels and Warriors was about initially.
Yes. I work out 6 days a week.
Mhm.
Basically, it was me taking pictures and doing videos of those workouts and posting them so people would see them, and
Mhm.
that forced me to keep it going.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's something that I do for myself because I love to exercise, but left to my own devices, I don't do it. So I actually created a little hiking group for myself because when I plan something and expect other people to show up, then I have to, right? So I love that you use the same kind of idea mentality of, if I put it out there and if people are expecting me to do something, I'm more likely to keep it up, right? So I love that we know our weaknesses and we use it against ourselves, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I love working out. I love the after effects of it.
Oh, okay.
It's just the starting.
Yeah.
It's just the getting there and
Yep.
going to the weight and picking it up. That's all. As soon as I do it, I'm good.
Okay. Well, okay. You can rub some of that off on me. I don't like any of it. I like the social aspect. That's about all I really like.
And that's what I hate.
Oh, so funny.
I would quit I would go to the gym. I have weights in my house now, in my apartment now, so I don't have to
Okay.
wait for anybody. I just do it. But when I went
Okay.
to a gym, I would go to a gym and go to a machine, and there would be someone who would do an exercise, stop, and talk to somebody for half an hour while I'm waiting for it, and that would piss me off.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't like the social aspect of it. To me, I mean, it's not social. It's just get to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so now these are words that I want to go over with you. So this show is called Discussions with a Disabled Man. So is the word disabled something that you don't feel disempowered by?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I think the word disability is or disabled is specific to each person. Uh,
Hmm.
what doesn't bother me might bother someone else.
True. Fair enough.
I personally don't care what you call me. You
Yeah.
can call me disabled all you want. That's what I am. That's what I identify as. So,
Okay.
but other people like differently abled and all these other words that like have come up. But the way I am, it just if you just call me disabled, I'm fine with that. Just there's other things that bother me that disabled, but just being called disabled doesn't make a difference to me.
Okay. I have a really good friend who was in a car accident back in 2012 and wasn't told she may never walk, talk, sing, work, all these things again. And she fought against that and she's now amazing. She's doing all those things again, probably bigger and better than she ever did. And she uses the term permanently abled. That's the one that she likes. So yeah, I agree. Everybody has um, their words, right? They're what they identify as, right? So I just, again, because we're able to have this conversation, I thought, I want to make sure that if I meet somebody, you know, in their wheelchair walking down the road or rolling down the road, that I'm not offending them in any way if I was to refer to them as disabled. So thank you. I appreciate hearing that from you, right?
If you're in that situation, my best suggestion would just be ask, and they'll answer.
Right,
And if they don't want to answer, that's their prerogative. But
right,
you asked.
right.
And about your friend, a little story I'll tell you. When
Sure.
when I was born, it was the late '70s, and the doctor who examined me after I was born told my mother that I would probably never walk, talk, feed myself, dress myself, and I should
Hmm.
probably be institutionalized.
Hmm.
So I've surpassed everything that he said. Now it's just a matter of getting past my own self-limiting beliefs and putting the stoppages I put on myself.
Well, but I mean, it looks to me like you've done all that, right? Because you're clearly not having those issues, right? So I would say you've already done all that. Not that I want to say stop, like you've
Oh,
accomplished, right? But I mean, I think, I mean, so long as you're also recognizing that, like, you've already done this to the, to the world, to the doctors, right? Oh, which is awesome. I love that. Oh. Okay, so what would you personally like people to know? So I listened to I'm assuming it was the first conversation that you did was with Angela,
yeah, that was the
right?
first.
Yeah, and you just said, if you come across somebody who looks like they could use help, and I think this is good for everybody, not just somebody who is disabled. Is
Yeah.
like if somebody looks like they're struggling or could use your help,
Mm-hmm.
you said, don't just assume, don't just jump in, ask,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. So, other than that, I think which is a powerful message, which is why I wanted to mention it again in case people didn't see that recording. But what else would you like people to know? So, somebody like myself, considered able bodied, is walking down the street and I see somebody who I think could use my help. Like for me, because I'm a helpful person, like I'm going to want to open the door for anybody. I'm going to want to, if anybody's in trouble, regardless of able bodied, disabled, I don't care like what, I'm going to want to help. So, what would you now for people who are disabled, what would you like me to know about that situation other than just ask? Like, I don't know, what else is there? Like, I want to spread your message by asking these kind of questions, right? So,
Um, Well, there's three different ways that I get treated or interacted with people. What
Hmm.
is normal, which is like everyone else, which is the way I want to be treated.
Hmm.
Secondly, they'll fall all over me, and
Hmm.
as if I'm like a damsel in distress who can't do anything.
Hmm.
It's nice, but it can be condescending. I mean, the way I am, I'll open the doors for everybody, whether you're disabled, older, younger. I don't care.
Hmm.
But when you like, one time when I went to the gym, I was rolling through the door and actually I was leaving the gym and I was rolling through the door and I literally heard somebody from behind me running as fast as they could. They jumped over my legs to open the door for me.
Uh,
And I'm thinking to myself, dude, if I couldn't open the door, I wouldn't be at the gym.
that's awesome.
So like, don't assume, ask,
Yeah,
and treat everyone the same. That's all.
right.
I mean, that's just I've been out with people. The thing that bothers me is I'll be out with my wife or I'll be out with people, and if I ask somebody a question, they'll answer whoever I'm with instead of answering.
Oh, wow.
They'll like literally look away and answer the other person. Like I could ask you something, but I don't understand what you're saying.
Hmm.
That's
So
one
what
of
do you do? So what do you do in that situation?
um. I try to be tactful, but it doesn't always work. Um, one of the last times it happened, I was at the movies with someone, and I literally like jumped up in my chair. I was like, "Hey, dude, I'm down here." Uh, but
Comedy would probably be a great way to handle that, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it is, but it isn't. I mean, I
yeah,
after I did it, I felt bad because the guy was only like 17,
right.
but I felt bad. But
Yeah.
at the time, I was in a coffee shop with my wife,
Mhm.
and I asked a woman a question, and I'm here. My wife is that way,
Yeah.
and when I'm done asking the question, she literally turns her head and answers my wife, and just totally ignores me. That time, I actually went up to the desk and told the manager,
Mhm.
and moved her from the front to the greeter in the back. So I feel bad, but it has been happening to me for since like 20 something years over.
Mhm.
So it's just sometimes I do it not tactfully or nicely. Just I got to get my message across.
Yeah. Okay, so now that's a good point though. So now you are choosing to be the messenger
Yeah.
of this. So how do you think you could handle that so that people get the message rather than you being in um your emotion about it?
Just take a breath, be calm.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
tell them how you felt, how
Hmm.
they did made you feel,
Yeah.
and just calmly tell them how you could uh, do something differently in the future with anybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd want to try to come up with some kind of random joke that like between you and your wife or something that's just like a standard, you know what I mean? Like, honey, can you tell her for me? Like,
yeah, I could, that would
yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. So yeah, so okay, so I think part of the problem for me
mhm.
is just that we're just I think we're just trained to want to help people. Either you're an asshole and you want nothing to do with people, or you just want to help people, right? So yeah, I guess it's just how do we spread the message for people that it's actually almost offensive to go out of your way to help somebody when they don't need help, right?
Two things: ask, and number two,
Hmm.
I ask everybody.
Hmm.
They don't want it. Don't be butthurt about it.
Hmm.
If I say no, just accept that.
Right.
I'll tell you another story. I was in a park. This has happened a few times. I was in the park and I was
Okay.
in the dirt and I rolled up a hill this guy literally came from behind me and started pushing me.
Unreal.
And like, it's nice. I appreciate that. But at the same time,
Right.
for me, it's a personal space issue.
Right.
If you don't know me, don't touch me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again where it comes, asking the question comes in. Just
Mm-hmm.
ask a question, be nice, and don't get hurt if I say no thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Okay. Yeah. No, and it makes total sense because I mean, trust me, if you saw me walking up a hill, you'd want to push me up it too. But that doesn't mean I want you to.
Like I was telling you that it's the same thing. If like two able-bodied people are
Yeah.
walking up the hill and they're like a man and a husband and a wife, and
Mm-hmm.
had a sprained ankle and has crutches, it's the same thing as if the guy comes up, picks her up, and walks her up the hill.
Yeah. Yeah. Awkward. Yeah.
And
Oh, awesome.
we've got the guy that, no thank you. He got hurt. He got brought hurt. He was upset. Like I was like, he was like doing me this huge favor, and I appreciate that. Just all you gotta do is just have. The reason I want to do this is to open the lines of communication. Ask.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So curious. This feels like an awkward thing to ask, but like, do you join in any other groups of people that are also in the same situation as you? Like, is this something that you discuss with other people that are also disabled? Like, is this, like a common thing? Like, because I know everything is personal, right? So, like if I saw you, now I know. But again, I guess just ask. Don't go out of my way to, jump over their legs to open the door. Just like anybody, if I saw somebody struggling, regardless, just treat them like I would anybody else, right?
I've never actually spoken to disabled people about this.
Mm-hmm.
The only group I'm in is
Mm-hmm.
play wheelchair basketball and
Oh, cool.
rugby. That's it.
Okay. Yep.
Other than that, I'm not really. I'm in writers. I do writing. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So those are the only groups I'm really in.
Yeah.
I just have my opinion, my thoughts, and I
Mm-hmm.
share them with other disabled people. I just try to spread the message with people that may not feel the same way.
Right. Okay. I get it. I like it. And I love what you're doing. I think it's so, so important to, when you're passionate about something and that when you want to share, like, I think it's really important. So I applaud what you're doing. And thank you so much for inviting me into your conversation. I love being part of your community. So
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to know?
not right now, but trust me, I'll be back.
Okay. Now, tell me about your planner.
Oh, my planner. Okay, well, I have two. Don't even have them beside me. I have two. So one of them I created about 3 years ago, because I'm the kind of person that if I need something, I'll just make it. Like I went looking for a good planner. When I say planner, I don't mean daytimer. Like this is more of a like keep myself on task, right? We're business people. We've got things that need to get done. We need to stay focused. And I just couldn't find anything that really worked well for me. So I thought, I like playing around on Canva. I'm going to create one. And so I did that about 3 years ago and I loved it. And I sold a bunch of them, but they were really expensive to print. I didn't know about KDP, print on demand, and all these things. So they weren't pretty when I printed them out originally. They were just done at Staples. They were like $40 to print, and it just came out in a plastic with like, it was awful. But people who bought them, like I ended up selling off the downloads as well. People who bought them were like, wow, this is amazing. This is really, really helpful and it keeps me focused. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And then I just kind of pushed it away and didn't think anything of it again. And then this past, I don't know, was it maybe September this year? I decided to create something, again, very specific for entrepreneurs, which is taking an idea that you have
Yeah.
and then and all the way through, like walking people step by step by step, all the way from having the idea to actually creating the idea, doing the research, all the questions that you would need to ask people to dial your idea in, how to create a content plan, how to launch it, how to sell it, how to pre-buy it, and I put all of that into a planner. And so that's the one that I'm like really excited about.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's called The Idea to Launch in 90 Days. It's a workbook, I guess, but that one, I was talking to somebody that I met back in September. I met her at an event. I
Mhm.
love the serendipitous way that people meet, right? Like, I met her at an event for somebody else. I was there supporting a friend, and I connected with her, gave her my business card. She wrote the word podcast on the back and then filed it away. And then about 2 months ago, she reached out to me and said, "Oh, hey, I'd love to be on your podcast. Can we have a chat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." We start talking, and I don't know where I don't know how we got to this, but she started telling me that you can do print on demand through Amazon KDP. And I was just like, what? This is amazing. And so that, because I thought I was going to have to go to like Alibaba and order like, like a full on, like a hard copy kind of, this kind of a thing, and go for it that way. And when she's like, no, you don't have to do that. That's crazy. It was like, whoosh, all of a sudden, all these ideas have started coming. And I mean, I'm going to have a whole series of planners and be working with different people. I met a lady this past weekend. No, Wednesday. We run a thing called Wellness Wednesdays, my friend and I. And this was a lady that came on, and she is struggling with post-concussion syndrome. And so when I talked to her, and she talked about going through the concussion clinic and all the things that they go through and the way that they relearn, I'm like, we need to put together a planner to help people coming out of post-concussion syndrome and like all these things. Like my friend, she's a chronic pain sufferer. We want to do one for chronic pain. It's just like, it's crazy. Like the floodgates have just
Yeah.
opened now for all the ideas, now that I know how easy it is to create and plan and print them. So yeah, so thank you for asking me about that. It's very exciting for me. And you too,
No,
right? You're a writer, like KDP. I mean, you could be boom, 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 knocking stuff off. Awesome.
yeah. I didn't know about KDP either, but Terry told me about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's like so reasonable. Like for me to order my author copies, it's like, and they're nice. Hang on one sec. You asked, you're going to get it.
Okay.
Okay. Like they actually come out really nice. Like they come out like really nice books,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and then there's the other one, right? So it's not like they look like crap when they're done. And I mean, I designed that. I mean, I could do a better job of designing the covers. I was just playing around.
Mhm.
But it's like really cheap to do. Like it's great. So anyways,
I'm a
you
writer.
got me excited.
I can't design anything.
Pardon?
I'm a writer and interviewer. I can't design really.
But isn't that what your wife does? Didn't she design your t-shirts?
She did my logo. Yeah.
There you go. So she could probably do the design part for you.
Good. She's a lot more talented than I am.
There you go. Well, you guys probably make a really good team then.
Okay, I have a few questions for you.
Okay, sure.
What one thing would you eliminate for yourself or others if you could?
Okay, eliminate for me is people thinking that they don't have choices. That's my big thing, is that people feel like they get stuck. They,
Mm.
even for me, I got married really young, got on the treadmill, I call it the treadmill of life. I got married, bought a house, had a baby, and then got divorced because that wasn't really the path I wanted to be on, right? We get on these treadmills of life, and then we realize that we don't really want what we've set ourselves up for. And so I think what I would like to eliminate is people thinking that just because they've started down one path doesn't mean that they have to stay there. So I would like to eliminate the idea that people are stuck. They need to know they have choice.
Because I've felt stuck a lot in the last 20 some years.
Yeah.
What one thing or what image makes you smile? What do you?
Oh, picture my son. My son, smiley face, always. He's 25 and he's just like the best part of my life. He's wonderful. He's sweet. He's got a good heart. And yeah, hanging out with him and seeing him smile. He loves to talk about cars. He's a real car guy. So he came over for dinner here a couple nights ago and we just sat on the couch for 3 hours and chatted. And it was just, he was talking about cars and I just sort of watched him in his passion. And that brings me pure joy watching that.
Oh, I didn't even know you had a son.
Mm-hmm. I do. That's because I'm a single nester. He doesn't live with me anymore. He's got a fiance and a whole zoo going on over at his house. So
Okay. What is your happy place?
the ocean. Like I don't even have to think about that. For me, when I was a kid, there's an area. So here I live here in British Columbia, in we call it the Lower Mainland. This is near Vancouver, and about 20 minutes from here, where I am, there's a little tiny piece of the States that it's not through the main. Like you have to go through this little area called Tawasin, and then there's just this tiny little tip that's the U.S. and it's called Point Roberts. And when I was a kid, that's where I basically grew up. My family had property there, and it's right on the ocean. And so for me, the ocean is my happy place.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you feel empowered?
Empowered. I think, you know what? For me, a couple of years ago when I started my podcast, I was not this person, not the kind of person that would say, Michael comes to me and says, "Hey, Jess, jump on a live with me." I'd be like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I'm shy. I don't have a message. I don't want to talk." But I took that challenge, right? I chose to challenge myself and push through my fears. Yeah. And I decided to start this podcast where I had to talk to strangers and I had to be on. Like when you're interviewing somebody, you kind of have to be on. You don't really know what they're going to say, right? Like this, we kind of had an idea of where we were going to go, but you don't know what's going to happen. So you always kind of have to be on. And,
look at your question.
Sorry?
I purposely didn't look at your questions that many times because I just wanted it to flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, but again, because of that, I could have thrown anything at you. I could have sent you my list of questions and then gone completely rogue on you, right? I would never do that, but I could have. But doing that podcast and that was a big challenge for me. So pushing through those challenges when you don't really, I had no idea how to do it. I had to teach myself all the steps. Those are the moments when I feel most empowered, is when I can prove to myself that I don't need to know the entire end of the story. I just need to know that I want to do something and I'm willing to do it and that I can learn whatever I need to learn. So those are the moments when I feel most empowered.
Okay. Oh, nice. What message do you want to share with the world?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of think I was writing this up and thinking about it before we jumped on, and I kind of feel like I stole this from Evan a little bit because I think he's the one who said it. But I want people to adopt the word "and" into their life, right? Like my friend Tanya and I, we have this group on Facebook and we do lives and we do these weekly calls, and our group is called Joy and Pain. Yeah. Because she's a chronic pain sufferer and she's a chronic pain coach and she wants to help people. And together it's about, we get it that you have this situation in your life. Like maybe you're going through a divorce, or maybe you're in pain, or maybe, you just lost your job, or you don't know where you are, you feel stuck, but you can also, and you can have joy, right? Like you don't have to just sit in the mud. You can be the mud, but you can still see the sunrise. You know what I mean? Like we can still have that joy. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Guess who just
Sorry?
Mr. Rondos.
Oh, too funny. Just as I was telling him I stole one of his pieces of information.
Right.
Well, I gave him credit for it at least.
Is there anything else about this disability or myself that you want to know?
Well, you can tell me all about yourself. So I'd love to know. Okay, so thank you, Evan. This is awesome. I love that you bring us together. This is amazing. Yeah. I think what I'd like to know is what's next for you?
Just
like
trying,
you.
What?
You started out with doing it mostly for yourself,
Yeah.
and then now you've adopted to where now you want to spread the message. So what's the future? What do you see your mission as in the future?
Being an author, I want to write
Mhm.
fiction books. I want to be a coach, be a speaker, and one of
Podcast host.
yeah, podcast host. One of the main things I want to do is, I'm married, but I'm not legally married because, as far as the government's concerned, because I'm disabled, if I get married, I lose my insurance.
Really?
Yeah, just dumb.
Okay. Is that it? It must be a U.S. thing. Or maybe not. I don't know.
So if I get legally married, I lose my insurance, and I want to change that. Like, and the reason that having my insurance is such a big deal is because
Hmm.
if I don't have insurance, the braces that I'm currently wearing and that get me walking around and going everywhere, and the wheelchair that I'm using that
Hmm.
get me in my car all around, I'll have to pay for,
Oh,
which,
wow.
which would mean every 3 to 5 years when they break down, it would be 15 to 20 grand. So I want to change that
Hmm. All
because
right, let's do it.
to me, honestly, I believe that disabled people don't have marriage equality. Because if you get punished for something that you're legally allowed to do, you don't have equality.
Hmm.
So that's one of my missions, is to change that.
Beautiful. Okay, so how do you do that? I guess you have to get into, okay, I'm Canadian, so I don't know the right words. I mean, here I'd say parliament and like, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's about writing, connecting with people, possibly protesting, writing letters,
Hmm.
doing, and just to get attention to what the problem is, or what I want to.
Hmm. Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, even though I'm shifting gears on my podcast, I'm still doing the other one. So I'm happy to have you on anytime you want to help spread that message for you. So,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
yeah.
Thank you very much for being my second guest. I
Oh,
really,
thank you.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. I always do. I'm glad. And actually, your podcast episode that we recorded should be coming out next weekend. So
Oh,
finally,
okay.
yeah. So I'll send you all the links for that. So yeah.
I mean, hmm. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. No problem.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for coming onto this episode of Empowering Discussions with a Disabled Man. Thank you to Jessica Coulthard for our conversation, and I will see you next week. Bye.